Welcome back to the Moisture Farm, everybody. These are the results from our regional qualifier in Lille, France. 860 players, pretty big field. We've got Kira Datavault in 8th, which has been tearing it up competitively recently. A buddy of mine from my neck of the woods just won the Fresno PQ with Kira Datavault. Shout out to Cody. Ray Datavault is kind of a new splash. Pretty interesting deck list there. But the most interesting thing to me on this list is our winner, Sabine Datavault. Sabine Green is certainly not a stranger to anybody that pays attention to this game competitively. And I know this chart's kind of hard to see from this zoom out. There were not a lot of Sabine Datavaults here. But one of the ones that was there won the whole thing. And so this was super interesting to me, and I had to check out this deck list for myself. So the deck list is in Melee. I copied it over to SWODB. This is the exact deck list that won an 860 player tournament. Weird stuff going on here. Weird, not normal Sabine stuff. Datavault, first of all, completely switches up the strategy. We'll start on the low end. We've got 3 Frisk and 3 Ketsu Onyo. What are those doing there? Just like completely devoted to small upgrade removal. Bizarre. Nothing that I was expecting. Also, you may notice the entire main deck is 3 ofs of every card here. There's no 2 of. This deck hits 3 ofs of everything. They want to see the same cards every game consistently, which I think is a good idea. If you're going to go 60, if you're going to dilute your deck with 10 cards, make it as consistent as possible. I like the theory behind that. Take a look at the sideboard. Fang Fighters. I think Fang Fighters probably should have been in the main. If we're so worried about upgrade removal, put Fang Fighters in the main. Sham for countering ramp. 3 Crate Dragons and a bombing run. I think Crate Dragon and Sham, I think, are specifically for, green villainy or just other control shells being able to have something late game against a control. So I looked at this deck at face value. We've got some other stuff like Senatorial Corvette is not something you usually see in a Sabine deck. I do like what this card has to offer for Datavault. 3 Timelies, 3 Rebel Assaults is pretty standard. Everything else here seems pretty normal. The Adelphi Patrol Wing was kind of like a side option for Sabine, kind of in and out. Since it came out in set 2. But I was thoroughly intrigued by this deck, and so I built it in SWODB, tested it out on Petronaki, and just playing some test games with it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I won that one. That was pretty close game here. Going up against Akira, this is a super close game against Akira, and we're in late game resources, high resource turns, super bizarre, and I played it exactly the way that it was ran in the tournament, and it surprised me. It did pretty well, so I figured I had to build it for real and play it in some live gameplay. So let's take a look at how this actually feels on mat live gameplay. Bring in Sabine Datavault into a constructed tournament. My round 1 is against my man Corey rockin' Kaz Thermal Oscillator. So I've got quite a sizable advantage health-wise. And I got to tell you, the one thing about Sabine Datavault, after playing it for a few games, is that Sabine ping. When you're playing against sub 30 bases, that Sabine ping feels fantastic. You feel like you want to get those in. Now, obviously, Kaz Red is a tempo deck, so I can't just be pinging away, without any consideration of him starting to bring the tempo. This is our second game. Game 1, he just straight up tried to out-tempo me without any interaction, and with the health at stake, I was able to just win the race normally and comfortably without any interaction. He was trying to go as fast as he could, and I just kept up pace with him and had more health. So a couple turns into the game, we both ambushed our turn 1 plays and survived. I ambushed his space, he ambushed my ground, and now we are on the 4 resource turn. Neck and neck with base damage. Make sure he'll get 4 in there. And I'll make sure I get 3 in here. So, I mean, any matchup that I've played with a sub 30 base has felt pretty good. He brings the Falcon in ready, which is a great target for him to throw his leader onto and start pushing some crazy damage. See, I've got a K2 in my hand right there, which feels pretty good to play. I've been loving K2. I mean, it's been a Sabine staple since set 1, and I am just such a huge fan of that card. Got a couple options. See, I've got a red 3 is one of the other cards in my hand. Go ahead and pay 4 for K2SO. Puts him in a pretty gnarly position with that hunter. I could, if he isn't able to hang on to initiative, not only can I ambush that for 3, attack and overwhelm for 3, and then get the 3 in from K2, is not going to feel good. But on the other hand, he's got a piloted leader. And I'll bring Sabine out. And he brings BB-8 on the ground. The one thing I felt about the way that this deck is constructed, obviously we've got like the Frisk and we've got the Ketsu, like that cheap upgrade removal. It really does nothing for pilot leaders. You can see I just top decked a Ketsu, and not something that, like I said, I played it just to be true to the deck, and he does hang on to initiative here, it looks like, with me being able to deploy Sabine and attack. He's got a lot of things to consider here. Depending on where he wants to tack the headhunter into. Does he just get the trade with K2 so I can limit it to just that 3? Or does he go for something else? Does he make sure to get his leader attacked in there? He's going to throw 4 onto Sabine, which puts me in a position where I either need to attack with Sabine or use K2 to protect Sabine. So pretty good play for Corey there. Puts me in a weird spot. Trying to figure out which way I want to do it. Decided to just attack with Sabine into base. If he wants to throw BB-8 there, that's fine. This deck also runs no pumps for Sabines, like no Wing Leader, no Dark Sabers, really no upgrades whatsoever. And BB-8 will take out Sabine. I'm going to throw 3 damage from Blue Leader onto his leader, and he'll make sure to get that attack in, assuming that I'm brewing something up. He's got 7 more damage done to my base than I have to his. And we're going to timely intervention here and play the red 5. So on attack, get to do 2 and then 3 more, which is enough to take out his leader. So both of us take out each other's leaders. And I'm still sitting up here with a K2 until it gets ambushed by Han and gets to live. And on that defeat, I'll make sure to start getting our damage up a little closer, and then we'll go to phase. So very nice ambush play from Han. Good math on his side, choosing where to attack. Being able to control the board going into the next phase after where the board was. Lots of turnover there. Checking my resources here to make sure I don't have any smuggle options. So with this current board state, and now that Sabine is back in leader zone, I'm not necessarily dying to keep throwing Sabine pings out there, but a Sundari Peacekeeper will help out with that quite a bit if it gets to survive an attack. Almost played the AT hauler there. Reconsiders. He'll put 4 into my base with Han. Keep that gap as wide as he can. And then I'll place Sabine on the ground. Keep going wide, and now he plays the AT hauler. I've got 1 resource up. There's nothing I can really do. I mean, I could Sabine ping, but yeah, it's just a claim initiative for me there. And he'll use Kaz's ability to remove all abilities from the AT hauler and pass. So now, he's showing 10 damage on board right here. So I definitely need to, I've got some things to do here that will help for sure. You definitely feel that lack of ECL running Datavault. Those timely interventions are extremely valuable. This game, I felt like it was more important to get that leader out of there. I'll have the initiative going into phase, and pretty easy first move for me here, using Sabine's ability to just do the 1 damage, not have to take any combat damage back, keep my unit up, take some of that damage off the board, and he'll trench run with black 1, which is going to really hold me up here. Now I'm at 29. Got to do something. Play the Adelphi Patrol Wing and then swing in with the Sundari Peacekeeper. Really just for action economy there. I get my unit out on the board and get some extra damage in. Now he's at 20. And so now, he still has 4 resources up. There was nothing else I could do to interact with the AT hauler. He's going to claim initiative right there. And then playing my last unit, and he's just letting me know he's got a trench run ready for me to start the next phase. And that does it. So super close game here, and like I said, you really do feel that lack of ECL and how valuable those timelies are and how to use those. Definitely takes a lot of reps with this deck, and the fact that your deck is even diluted, so you have a 3 out of 60 chance to even pull that. So what's that, 1 out of 30 quick maths? Am I even right? I don't know. So it's tough. So we go to a game 3, and in that game 3, I got kind of greedy putting a Frisk on a Phoenix A-Wing, which he ambushed with a Han pilot on his space unit, and I never recovered from there. So he took it 2 games to 1 and move on to my next matchup. Round 2, I'm in the Sabine ECL. This matchup feels pretty good. I mean, you just get to, you're playing very similar things. They have a pretty big swing play with ECL, but, with your timely interventions and, playing very similar shells, you feel pretty advantaged into this. So I'll go ahead and get 3 damage into base. And ambush my Sabine right away. The one thing about this deck build that drives me crazy that I haven't mentioned yet is there's no Fleet Lieutenants. And that feels very bizarre to me to run a Sabine deck with no Fleet Lieutenants. Feels very bizarre. I decided to claim initiative here instead of locking in that Sabine ping. And for a very good reason here. Onto the 4 resource turn. We got both Sabines coming out. And I'll start with a blue leader ambush, which feels really good to ambush a 1-3. And board control is starting to look pretty nice here. Spend all 4 for K2. Put 3 into base. And anytime you can get board control in this matchup, you just kind of run away with it. And now I know that I'm going to be able to get that board control. She claims initiative. Sabine flips. And yeah, no Sabine flip from my opponent right there. But yeah, running 3 Rebel Assaults and then not running Fleet Lieutenants feels weird. It feels like you're just not capitalizing on what we got going on here. So with initiative here, I'm not quite sure. Maybe wants to ensure that they can get rid of my fighters for freedom here. Thinking about something for 3. Changing her mind. Decides to play the ambush into Sabine. So thinking that K2 is going to come overwhelm Sabine, I'll go ahead and just attack with Sabine, get that damage in. And yeah, if they want to attack a unit that's already attacked, they can do that for sure. So K2 will take back 2. Sabine is gone. And we'll just keep chugging along the base here. Spec Force Soldier comes down. Just a cheap unit. 2/2, not bad. And 19 plays an Alliance Dispatcher. Looking to close the deal here. Pay it for cause I believe in. It's going to ping base for 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 to base. So we'll put her down to 1 health left on base. And yeah, it's pretty much over there. No visible way to restore here. They claim initiative. I can put down a Battlefield Marine. And yeah, unless they can find a way to immediately heal, that's game. And so, yeah, the race feels very nice against ECL. I mean, really didn't even have a window for any poser records to come out there. At least, I mean, if there was one, you know, they didn't have the pose. And so, yeah, took that first 2 games, 2 in a row, and went on to my 3rd round. Let's see if I can get this thing. So round 3, here I am against a Trench Green. Also not something that you see very often. When this set was originally announced, I really liked the idea of Trench Green, specifically Trent Datavault, just to have more cards at your disposal to throw around. And you know, the synergies of having like Palp's Return and a couple of options, you know, Unnatural Life, stuff like that, can help with that discard. And I think over time there'll be slightly more discard support. Salvage, obviously, is a good one. And drops down the Space Sentinel. Stops me in my tracks. Go ahead and use the Sabine ping here. Let him get that 3 damage in there. And put down the Fighters for Freedom. Didn't want to have to take on any unnecessary damage onto fighters here, so I'll let that 3 damage go to base. No problemo. I do think that this shell has potential. The Sabine Datavault, I'll go into that a little bit more once we finish this round. My opponent's got some options here. Decides to double Sentinel on the ground, which I am not worried about at the moment. Obviously, Sabine's going to come out and I'll have to do something there, but I do currently have a 3/4 Saboteur on the ground, so not worried about that. I'm going to put Frisk on the A-Wing. Maybe get that Sentinel out of the way. 2 to base. And I'll throw 5 into the Sentinel. And keep a piloted space unit on the board. 3 more comes to my base. Trying to decide how I want to do this. Doing some math on whether or not I should be using Sabine's ability or not. Decide to flip Sabine. Take out the security team. Don't want to unnecessarily buff that Dark Trooper, and we go to phase after he claims initiative. We're just making sure that we accounted for the Sabine on attack ability there. You can see I've got the Senatorial Corvette and then immediately resource it. I do have a Poe in my hand, but no ECL, so I'd just be playing him slow here. He's got first action with initiative. I'm sure he's going to want to take out my Sabine, slow me down as much as he can. You can see in his hand he's got a Cad Bane here, so he's got ways to cheat that Cad Bane out early if things go well. He'll go ahead and throw the Trooper into Sabine and stay alive. He was looking for XP to put on the Trooper. I said, don't worry about it. Went ahead and ambushed the Sentinel. Gave it the XP. Blue leader on the ground as a 5/5 that's been dealt for. Puts down the laser tech. I'll go 3 to base. 2 more resources up. Let's see what he does here. Looks like he claims initiative, and I'll go in for another 5. And now we start the race for reals. For realsies now. Ketsu immediately gets resourced. Yeah, so all those weird cards, I'll have something to say about. I'll have something to say about that in just a few minutes here. Holding on to that Cad Bane. Got an overwhelming barrage in there as well. Would love to get a use out of that. The real downside to Trench is that 3 cost to deploy. Having that resource free deploy and then being able to OB in this shell is super strong. And that is really not an option for him. And when he comes out on 6, it takes half of your available resources for the turn to do this ability. He'll go ahead and slam the laser tech in, which does put him to 7. And he's got a Maul as well in his hand, so he's got options there. Assuming that he's got something on the ground to play. I was thinking Vader or Maul. Wanted to get that attack in with Fighters for Freedom, but it's Cad Bane instead, so I do lose my upgrade, and I lose my units. I do have all 6 of my resources right now that I could hopefully respond, and as you can see, I've got a Poe and I've got a Timely Intervention here. And I do think I'll go ahead and make that play rather than wait a phase, because I do have that Wrecker in my hand. Rather than wait a phase and use the Wrecker, I'll go ahead and swing Poe. I had a A-Wing in my hand on that to discard, so I can finish off that last 2 damage and get my units back. Make sure to get a Sabine ping in here, and then we will go to the next phase. Feeling pretty good about board control. Got him at 18 damage to 11 on mine. Has not deployed Trench yet, but now he's on 8 resources, so certainly feels like a good time to maybe bring Trench around and dig for some cards. He'll play Invisible Hand. Get a big space guy, which will set up his Trench deploy. It's a nice synergy play right there. Make sure to get 3 in the base. He's going to flip Trench here. And then with Invisible Hand, that gets bounced back to my hand. I want to make sure that's the card that he didn't want to bounce, which it is. So we've got those other 2 cards on the bottom. Apologies for the cut. It's another Jump Master and a that 4-drop Villainy Shuttle that lets you move tokens, I believe. I do go ahead and just say Merciless Contest and the Jump Master there. Not in the fan of any 1-for-1 removal here. And, you know, either give him 2 Sentinels or 1 Sentinel, you know, or no Sentinels. And so he'll get one of those Sentinels in and go in 3 more to base. No need to worry about the Invisible Hand. Trench will attack for 4. Perfectly sets up a non-ECL Wrecker here. I can just play Wrecker and take out his leader. Pop Ketsu Onyu from resource. And bye-bye Trench. You can see he does have the Maul in his hand. He does have a response to Trench if he claims right now, or a response to Wrecker if he claims right now. And I'll go ahead and put a damage on our base, and he's gonna claim initiative, and we'll go to phase. I think he forgot to keep Trench exhausted after he died. He's got those 2 Mauls in his hand now. Just top decked another one. He knows that he has to deal with Wrecker. He also has an Overwhelming Barrage in his hand, which might feel a little better than just a simple trade. So he OBs to take out Wrecker, and then I think he has 1 or 2 damage left to throw out around. It's 2 damage there. I'll make sure to get my 3 damage in, so he's at 24, make it 28. He'll use Trench's ability. He's got 4 resources up. I've got a couple different things I can do here. You've got a Fighters for Freedom and a K2, which I think, you know, assuming I can sequence it right, I can throw 1 damage in there. He's at 29 now. He forgets to exhaust Invisible Hand, but he does go in for the attack right here. So I know I have some options. If he responds to something, I believe I've got a Cassian and Smuggle here, which feels like the safest move. If he interacts with that, I just claim initiative and get that damage in. So, and here we go for Cassian right now. It's either interact or die. He'll outmaneuver and exhaust Cassian, and then I can just claim initiative right here, knowing he's got nothing else to do, and that wins it. So Trench is obviously not something that I would expect to see in a competition, but relatively close game. That Datavault coming through, man. But here's what I have to say. I'll go back to the deck list, and here's what I have to say overall about Sabine Datavault. So this deck list as a whole has some holes. It has some things that I don't like. But I do think that Sabine Datavault is interesting, and I will be revisiting this deck very shortly with my own interpretation on it. I didn't play any hard control last night, so didn't really use that much of my sideboard. I did bring in the Fang Fighters against Kaz, but unfortunately didn't really see them in any relevancy. But yeah, we need Fleet Lieutenants in here. We need Luke pilots. We need Chewbacca's. We need some other stuff. And like I said, I will be revisiting this very soon with a different spin. Let me know if you guys have looked into this at all. What do you like or don't like about Sabine Datavault? It seems like Datavault is just really controlling the meta right now. If you run a leader that can run Datavault, it seems like the move. It really seems like those 10 extra cards in deck are not limiting people very much. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I will be revisiting this deck really shortly. And I'll see you in the next one.